former non-executive member of the board of directors of Postbank is hauling Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies, Mondli Gungubele, to court, arguing that her unlawfully and unconstitutional removal from the board in September. And that's according to lengthy papers filed in the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria. The reasons furnished to her for her removal is that Gungubele, in summary, could not find a record of her objecting to the Electronic Connect contract, which was appointed irregularly, and that she, along with the board, had failed to exercise oversight in the manner required by her fiduciary responsibilities to Postbank. The former supplier, Electronic Connect, has been making headlines over its payment switch software used by Postbank to pay social grants, which has adversely affected thousands of recipients. The AXTA board member charges in papers that the suggestion that she flouted and disregarded procurement processes is grossly unfounded. She adds that the minister took his decision in bad faith and arbitrarily and didn't follow due processes. And for more on this, we're now joined by Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies, Mondli Gungubele, and he joins us via our video link. Minister, thank you so much for joining us this evening here on SABC News. Perhaps let's start off here. You are being taken to court by a former board member who says that her removal from Postbank was unlawful and unconstitutional. Let's start off with your reaction. How do you react to this latest move to take you to court?
Well, good evening to yourself, Mbali. Good evening to South African viewership. Thanks for the opportunity. Let me say, we respect the member concerned to take us to court. That's the purpose of our constitutional freedom, and its assurance that everyone is treated according to law. We comfortably are going to be able to respond. We are confident that we followed the due process. Maybe just to give you a little background, Bali, that member concerned was part of the board which would have received an opinion around December or November last year, advising them that EC Connect was illegally continuing and the contract expired. In spite of the contract having expired, they would have sought Treasury's opinion. Treasury's opinion would have advised them that the continuation of that contract was illegal. Worse, they paid 23 million in spite of that knowledge that the contract was illegal. She had the fiduciary duty individually, jointly with others, to make sure that they react to that. Even at a time when the KPMG, which was commissioned by my predecessor, had actually tabled a report, they were on course in terms of our records towards paying that 23 million. It is at that point where we stopped the possible second payment. Against that background, we took a view that this board generally would have run a Postbank, which is meant to be a state bank, for 3 years with a disclaimer, and they held a contract under whose existence the bank lost millions, and it was illegally continuing at the same time with all the hemorrhage financially, and she was part of a board that did not act against that. So I'm comfortably saying we will engage, we'll be advised by the court. We hope to put our perspective, which we think is very sound, before the court.
And Minister, this is not the only dismissal we saw from Postbank. I mean, you dismissed a number of officials on the board. You know, a number of South Africans did not receive their grants on time. Do you think that these dismissals conducted by you were warranted?
I'm saying to you, Mbali, this board presided over an institution that was on disclaimer. I'm not sure if people understand what a disclaimer is. A disclaimer, Mbali, is when Auditor General come to assess the financial performance of an institution, of an auditee, and discover that they cannot express opinion because of the mess of the books. That's a serious thing, Mbali. If you do it for 3 years, an AG can't express an opinion, What do you expect a political principal to do? What do you expect the person in charge to do? If millions, no less than 150, leak in the institution, we're not fabricating this thing. The records are there. You go and read AG's report. It's a public document. And where the AG said the institution is being harmed and harming society. And KPMG and the legal opinion would have said, deal with these people who are running this institution because they're running it illegally. So I don't have a historic relationship with these people. I have got no reason to love them. But I'm dealing with their work, and we have to respond in as far as our obligations so dictate under the circumstances.
And of course, Minister, at the center of this problem and debacle is the issuing of that unlawful contract. And, looking at, some of the board members that were fired, they were saying that they were not responsible for selecting this company. And they said that this was selected even before they arrived. What do you have to say to those allegations?
But the opinion, as I've already said, around November and December, was tabled before then, that this contract is illegal. So who are they going to blame? So I'm not sure if I make the point.
Yeah. And, when it comes to this board, I mean, there were some who resigned even before you could fire them. There are others who then went on, to step down from their positions. And when it comes to the problems around this board, what would you say were the biggest problems according to what you had seen and that warranted for this board to be removed?
I think I've said it several times. I'll repeat now, but I'm saying under their leadership for 3 consecutive years, AG had a disclaimer finding. It's the serious finding an AG can find. There's no worse finding than that one. 2, they illegally ran a contract under whose tenure millions leaked in what to call no less than 150 million fake account used to actually siphon the money of the bank and leave. And they were advised about the illegality of the contract. And I'm not going to fabricate anything new other than the facts which are there. Yeah,
so you're basically saying that there's no strong case here against you.
Well, we won't be surprised what are we expected to do if, in terms of our record, a board jointly and severally have failed to carry their fiduciary duty, including the member who's taking us to court. Remember, some of them are trying to say we didn't follow due process. We can show you correspondences between us and them and a continued process of unsatisfactory responses. Those are on record. We'll table those before the court. So it's not an overnight process, but I'm sure about 2 or 3 months trying to get clarity from them. Why were they running an institution which is made to be a world-class financial institution in the world? You can tolerate AG findings, Bali, not in a financial institution which supposedly is supposed to be a repository of the people's deposits. That is supposed to be one of the most trustworthy institutions. If you want that to be a bank that enjoys credibility in the investor community, you cannot just ignore that.
Yeah. And Minister, as we wrap up this interview, the SA Connect, that project which phase 2 was launched on Saturday, if maybe you could just give us a bit of insight when it comes to those technologies and, who is going to benefit from phase 2 of this SA Connect?
Now we are starting issues that are positive to South Africans, but thank you so much. One of the most exciting weekends is the visit we paid to Mount Elif last weekend, where we were launching a connection of no less than 500 households. What has happened there, man? A gigawatt, which is normally on average is 90 rand, to those poor communities, it's going to be 5 rand. Already, as I'm talking to you, it's happening. They will pay no more than 249 a month, unlimited. And what is at their disposal? Access to government, because now, if you look at the kilometers between Mount Elif and the Bishop was advised about 315 kilometers, they don't have to travel to that place now. All what they have to do, they have to get information from their houses. Their children will access a textbook for school without a cost. They will use that. Families are able to share a router in one house, and one guy, I'm just forgetting his name, who can even give you that name later. He is selling chickens. Immediately had access to this, his clients went up. They are able now to actually formulate content, poor as they are, and actually sell the content on the e-platform. What can I say? But for 5 rand, you can't even buy a loaf of bread. But look at the things they're going to have access to purely through a 5 rand.
Yeah. Certainly, they're good news for many South Africans in terms of connectivity, and most importantly, there, Minister, talking about the access to textbooks, because we saw during COVID-19 how school could become more digital based.
The point is, Bali, we are going to roll out now this. We have already connected. They are just 500, but in the country, we've already connected in 3 months, no less than 6,000. We expect by end of March, 749,000 households to have been connected, mainly in the far-flung areas of the country. We will be going to Mutimule in the Limpopo very soon, but the rolling out is continuing. Already, we see the issue of data must fall is no longer going to be a theoretical issue. It's actually at the doorstep. But in the Mount Elif, it's not even at the doorstep, it's inside their houses.
All right, then, Minister Mondli Gungubele, thank you so much for your time here on the late edition.